So we're going to cover lists, tables, and CSS borders. Borders are quite often used with lists and tables. So it kind of makes sense to cover them while we're talking about how to do the HTML tables and lists. So there's a couple different sections in your book you're going to want to read. You'll notice it's not a lot of pages. Then you are going to want to go through the lecture demo because this gives you a lot more information than you are going to find in the book. So when we talk about a list, we can be talking about a numeric list, which is an ordered list. And we can talk about a bulleted list, which is unordered. Okay, and the difference between those two lists is the opening tags. Ordered list is OL, unordered list is UL, which kind of makes sense. Okay, so you're going to read through this information on lists and also how to customize lists using styles. And then it is helpful if you work through the interactive exercises, especially when you have different values to change the way the list looks. Okay, so we've got list style type where you can have Roman or alpha in addition to numeric. Super helpful to select the link and make changes. So if I select the link, and for those of you who don't like to type, you can even copy some of this. Okay, so you can see we've got different types of lists, unordered and ordered. And we've got upper Roman, lower alpha, and this is what it looks like. So why don't we change this to lower Roman and upper alpha. Okay, so we're changing these two. Let's run it. And immediately you can see how it looks. Okay, so it is useful to come out here and kind of play with this. You can go back and see what the different values are. Okay, and then go back over here and make the changes. And you know, if you mess up here, all you have to do is reload the page. The third type of list, which really isn't used very often, is a description list. This would be like for recipes or dictionaries or that type of thing. And I actually used it to define different words. Okay, and here's a link to an example so you could play more with that. See, HTML does allow you to nest lists. So you can see we have an unordered list that starts and stops here, and inside we have a nested unordered. So we basically have a numeric list, and then below one of the numbers, we have bullets. And that's what that looks like. So you can kind of play around with that by going to this interactive site. Then we talk about borders. And borders can be applied to paragraphs. You can apply them to headings. You can apply them to tables. You can put them around lists. They can be applied to anything. Okay, so a border has a width, a color, and it has a style. And these are the different values that you can use for the style. And by default, the border would go all the way around, but you can specify where the lines go. Okay, so there's just lots of examples here so you can kind of get a feel for the different things you can do. And then there is a link that lets you kind of play with it. Graphical tables. This is something that you not only will see in this class, but tables are used in a variety of applications. Quite often they are used to align content. Languages like PHP and other server-side languages will generate tables when we are outputting content to the tables. So it is important that you understand how to put together an HTML table. So this goes through the basic table structure. You have an opening and closing tag. Within the table tags, you have rows. So TR is table row. And then for the columns, you either have a table heading or TD, which I just think of as table detail. Okay, so these are columns. And that's your basic table. Okay, and so this shows you how to put together the tables, how to use semantic tags for captioning, how to group different areas of a table. And again, this is a semantic tag, part of HTML5. And then how to format the tables, because you probably are not going to like the defaults, and you can apply all of the border commands to your tables. Okay, so you're going to kind of work through here. We do get into how to combine rows and columns, and it's called spanning. Okay, so there is a section that shows you how to do that as well. Okay, after you get done working through all of that, then you're going to work on the textbook assignment. And you're going to set up your structure to begin with. And then there's files that you are going to be downloading. And these 3 files are the 3 exercises that you are going to be working on. And then some of the files do have graphics, so you're going to have to download those as well. And there's also kind of a beginning CSS file for you. And the first task is going to have you work with the different lists. And you actually are going to be formatting a recipe. This is an actual cream cheese crumb cake recipe, the real thing. And you guys are going to be formatting the page. Okay, and so this basically walks you through how to do that. And there's a video you can watch. And then I am giving you kind of a starter CSS file that you're going to have to open and make changes to. And so you're going to be adding this code so that your recipe page is styled correctly. And then you do need to make a little modification to the main tag. And this is the modification you are going to be making to that. Then you're still working on the recipe here. And so you're going to basically take the text that's shown and create a little table out of it. Okay, and at that point, you're going to be done with the recipe. You're going to move on to the Hitchcock movie page, which involves using tables. So you're going to be adding the table code, and I strongly suggest copying and pasting. So, once you have completed the heading and you're in the body section, I would do the first table row with the 3 columns, and then I just copy and paste, because it's easier to, delete the text out of the columns than it is to key in all of these tags. Once you get the table structure, you are going to create the styling for that. And then the next task is going to be combining rows and columns, and that is using the row span tag. And then at the very bottom, you end up combining columns, and that's with the call span tag. So at that point, when you've got the rows and columns combined, you've added some widths to the very first column within the first row, and you've modified your CSS, you're pretty much done with that page. Then you get into news columns. This is going to be quick and easy. Basically, you're going to open this breaking news page for editing. It is not going to be in columns. And this is the CSS that you need to create the columns. And anytime I give it to you like this, you certainly can copy and paste into your page. Okay, so that is the CSS that you need for the columns. And that's pretty much all you have to do to that page. Super easy. Okay, and this is where your points are broken down. Okay, and at this point, you're going to be done. Then you're going to move on to your lab assignment. And there's basically a couple exercises in here. The first one, you need to incorporate lists and tables. And the content of this can be whatever you want, as long as you have an ordered list, unordered list, and a table. So I have an example of a resume where I incorporated that. But you can actually do anything you want. If you would prefer to do a recipe like we did in the textbook assignment, that's fine. If you want to do an advertisement or a flyer, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. On the second page is a news column format exercise. And again, the content of this can be whatever you want. So here I just did one on the poem, The Raven. Okay, but you guys can do it on whatever you want. Totally up to you. Okay, and so then what you are going to want to do is add the links to your page. And we are going to be converting our page to bulleted lists. So you'll have bulleted lists under each section. So this kind of tells you how to do that, you know, using the replace all command in VS Code. I mean, otherwise you can manually do it, but that's going to take you a lot more time. Okay? And when you're done, it should look something like this. So again, if you run into problems or if you have questions, make sure that you've got your pages transferred. Then just send me an email and I can quickly go look at it and I can tell you how to fix it. And if telling you how to fix it is going to take more than a couple paragraphs, I'll just create a video and I'll show you how to fix it. Okay, have a great week. Have fun with the assignment and let me know if you have any questions.